Welcome. It is another day. Today it is Monday, and you get to ask any question, and yours truly, I get to answer them. So, welcome to the channel. And if you don't know, this is what we do. We come out every Monday on every Mondays at the top of the hour, and I get to answer all of your questions. And we're going to dive into it. Today, I think the question that is coming through is a very technical question for many of us. And I think for many of us, we avoid this question actually. And not that it will not happen to anyone, it will happen to everybody at some point in time. And yet, this is, I think, one of the biggest things that I see people avoiding. I see this a lot. And I see many fights. I see many families being torn, apart. I see siblings not getting along. I see in-laws not getting along. In the event that when this here question is not answered and implemented correctly. I can answer the question today, but I do think that the implementation of it is not done correctly. And when we see other people who do this correctly, we name them, we give them names, and all of this is going to make a sense in a minute. So welcome. This is the TJ show, and this particular of the TJ show is we ask the questions. So wherever you are watching us, welcome. And in the comments, you can let us know where you're watching us from. Great having you here, and keep on sharing and keep on asking the questions. Keep on also participating in the comments. And in today's question, I've got a young man of 5, and he says, Dear TJ, I am a family man of 5. I have a small business and plus minus 2 million cash. I hear trusts, companies, CCs, and I don't buy, and don't buy in your name. Yeah, don't buy in your name. Yeah, don't buy in your name. So where and how should I buy? This guy's wanting to go into real estate. He owns a business somewhere else. He's got plus minus 2 bar. Okay, it's good to be having resources, but here in the TJ tribe, remember, we don't give you the answers of what to do. We give you a framework. In some cases, in the framework, we actually want you to go and consult a certain professional so that you can get the right plan implemented for your circumstance. So here we'll give you the framework. This is how it can be done. This is how I'm doing it and why I'm doing it. And then thereafter, you can take it to a local professional, and you can say to them, hey, this is my circumstance. I want something like this. How best can you structure it for me? And they'll give you the pros, the cons, and you need to pick what is right for you. But I'm going to answer this question in a number of ways. And I do think that a lot of us, we don't get it, but I am going to make sure that we can all get it, because this is complicated stuff, and it has always been seen to be for the rich people, but it's not. It's for everybody. If you're a parent, welcome. And by the way, we are of the firm belief that on here, if you are a parent, right? If you are a parent, we are of the firm belief on here is that every modern parent should be earning some passive income through real estate. And this guy here, he's a parent of, he's got a family of 5, including himself maybe. And he is trying to do that. And we are going to be answering that. So, you can see that this is a burden of mine, because I want to give you guys a short story of someone else that I know was pretty wealthy. They were in the game of bottle stores. And when that guy died, the business died with him. That's number one. Number two, the family literally had like plus or minus a year to 2 years, and they just became very poor. And it was because that the business was not planned accordingly for succession. It was not future-proof. When the relatives from the rural areas heard that this guy had died, the uncles and the chiefs and the so on came through and they distributed everything amongst themselves, leaving the widow and the kids with literally almost next to nothing. They appointed someone else to be the, don't know what they were calling this person, but basically he was the overseer of the process. This guy had no business acumen at all. I remember he was given one of the owner's baki, and it was such a sad story to see that. And I am the reason why I'm talking about this is because these are real things that are happening in our communities, where people still think, or should I say, behave in a situation where if I've got a brother and my brother is wealthy, and if he passes on, I am quickly going to go there and I'm going to help my sister-in-law, and I become also the caretaker there, and I am also looting some of the money to my own means and so on. We might be saying to ourselves, "Who, TJ, where do you see these dramas?" They are happening in our communities. Read about it in the newspapers. Go to your local magistrates or to your local high court and see these things being read and being contested. So how can we avoid such kind of things? This is the question that he's asking. It goes that deeper in my world. So at the TJ tribe, we're not just about building. The building it doesn't really actually matter. We are of the view that if you're building alone and you're not protecting it, then there is no reason. So don't build. Continue just being an employee. Get your pension. Get your at the end of the term of your working, just get your pension and that's it. Don't complicate your life. But if you're coming through to the TJ tribe and you're wanting to learn how to build your business and how to earn from your business and then preserve it for yourself and obviously for the future generation, then these questions are the hard questions that we get to answer and ask. And in the TJ tribe, we go deeper than what I'm going to show you today. What I'm just going to show you is probably level 1 and 2 of this. So how can we help this guy? Number one, he's got a bit of cash, so money is not a problem. He can get through to resources. He just doesn't have the information. Number two, he is hearing correctly. Don't buy in your personal name. Yes, but now he's getting confused. Does he buy in a trust? Does he buy in a company? Does he buy in a CC? Right? All of these questions. All of these are vehicles. Yep. They are entities that are regarded and they have their own pros and cons, right? So I cannot choose for you which one is good for you, but I'm going to give you a framework. And within this framework, I'm also going to give you what I do so that you can be able to see that I'm not just giving you stuff that I don't do. I don't practice. I practice. I go and research for myself. And once you guys are asking me questions, it's a selfish reasons as well. It makes me go and research some more. And that way I get educated twice by giving you the information. So I've put in a short prezi in terms of how we can help this guy. So firstly, he's got some cash. Already he runs a small business, and this business actually sounds like he actually owns it by himself. So which basically means that SARS at some point, the taxman is going to come in and hit him hard, probably around about 45%. So he's going to lose what he's built around about 45%. In the eventuality that Jesus calls him, he is going to lose around about 55% of it in various taxes that will go to the states and the people that will provide services. But how can he avoid this? So the question that he's asking here, I fear I might be too late. It might be too late for me. No, it's not too late for you, brother. Irrespective of what age group you are, it's never too late. There is nothing that's not figurable. We can figure it out and we can show you the way. And surely we're going to help you. I think I am not going to talk about how you're going to buy the properties actually, because that's the latter end of the conversation. And that's very easy to do. once you have learned how to do it, especially if you're buying with cash. What I'm going to start talking to you is very much around how do you set up your structure. And you are going to hear me talk about the structure, but basically I'll explain what the structure is all about. In one of my webinars that is called Plan, Start, and Grow, I think actually we should just call this Practical Plan, Start, and Grow. That's the name of the video. We're going to call it Practical Plan, Start, and Grow, PPSG. Oh, it rhymes, PPSG. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. And this is for your property business, but we can also extend it into your normal business, the one that you are doing. I'd like to introduce you to, we're going to assume that this person's name is Tabo, and we're going to assume that his Mrs. is Mariki, and the two are married and they've got kids, right? And for this case, we are going to say the level 1 ownership. I'm of the view that anyone, irrespective of who you are, this is the ownership that you should have. So, Tabo, please pay attention, brother. It's going to get a little bit complicated, but I am going to help you here on how best you can do it. I'm of the view that everyone should have a trust. Everyone should have a trust. Okay? I think a lot of people might not understand what a trust is, right? So let us maybe go through and talk to the trust itself. What is it? So a trust is an entity, just like a company, just like you are an entity. So a trust is also an entity, which means a wholly owned or controlled entity, all right? And it's an entity that is established by the trust for the purposes of receiving, holding, and managing any part of the trust, right? And we might have heard over the years, people say someone else, he's a trust fund baby, he's a trust baby, right? It's because you created the trust today, and later on your kids get to be called that when you're gone and Jesus has called you home. Now, so who can qualify to have a trust? Anybody. You can register a trust for as little as 2,000, and I've seen to as far as around about 15,000. I'm of the view that everyone should have a trust. So now that you've got a trust, and I know some of you are already asking, TJ, why doesn't this guy have a will? We'll come back to that. So why is it important to have a trust, and what should be in the trust? So you see there, I have actually put in 2 trusts. So there's trust number 1 and then trust number 2. What is going to be in trust number 1? In trust number 1, you're going to have anything and everything that you own and want to hold long term. There's a condition there. You want to own and you want to control and hold for long term. Well, I'm a little bit of an uncle myself. Things that I used to think in my 20s I'm going to hold for a long time, they're no value to me today. So I do not personally have a trust 1 that I just have stuff for long term. I don't have that. I don't have that. So I'm going to show you another structure, but I don't do that, right? The second part is that now in your trust number 1, it basically means that when you create a trust, you're going to have a number of offices in the trust. These are, you will create the trust. So you are the trust creator. They call you the founder. So you're the founder. So that's office number 1. Once you have created the trust, that office kind of like dies. Then you get trustees, right? You get to be a trustee. So you, the founder, becomes a trustee, and you can get to nominate either your wife, Mariki, and a third party who's independent, someone who's got a fiduciary office, and that person becomes a trustee, an independent trustee. That is the best way of doing it, best practice. And then thereafter, the other office is the office of beneficiaries. Beneficiaries are people that will benefit from the trust. In this case, you may want to say your kids are beneficiaries. SPCA can be a beneficiary. Your local church could be a beneficiary. There's so many things that your local school, so many places that you can have them. What else can you put in this trust? Number one, your life cover can be in there. Any other personal belongings that you want to keep for a longer period, they will stay in the trust, which means that the trust has its own balance sheet, it's got its own income statement. And I know a lot of you don't have that, because I see you when you go to the bank. When you go to the bank, they ask you of these things. You are actually getting what is now called a personal balance sheet, and you own everything. When you own everything in your personal name, what's likely going to happen is that, number one, the day your tax bracket is just high, so you're sharing quite a lot of your income with the government. It's not a bad idea. We need the money, yes, from an infrastructure perspective. But if you can also save that via owning stuff in your trust, and then thereafter, all of your profits, that's what you're going to pay to the government, because you're also contributing by doing business. So it's a double whammy. Then that's great, right? It's my preferred route. Then the second one, we're still talking about level one here of ownership. So you've got a trust, number one, and then there you are owning everything. So which basically means that you don't own anything. And this guy here speaks about his 2 million. So basically now this 2 million, you can have it in that trust. That's what it basically means, right? You can run your business from that trust number one. And you can also buy the properties in trust number one. But bearing in mind, you're buying this for long term. The condition is that it's a long term, you're holding it for a long term, and you are might not be selling it. But like I said, I don't do that, because what used to be long term for me when I was in my 20s versus now, two different things, right? I've changed my mind several times. Now, the second trust is going to own a company. And in this company, we're going to call it, the name of the company is ABC. And the ABC is now going to own properties, right? Or businesses, right? And they generally say that this is for speculation purposes. So you're buying, and you might think maybe you might sell in 3 years' time, or maybe you're not so sure, is it a good deal or bad deal? And by the way, we don't advocate for that. When you're buying, it's a sure deal. And if it's not a sure deal, don't buy it. Walk away, or make it work to be a sure deal. So we don't do those speculations. So for that reason, in ABC, this is where you're now buying your real estate, and the ownership of the property is in the company, and the ownership of the company is in trust too. Does it make sense? I hope so. This is what I call level one. Everyone should have this. It's a pre-requirement if you are a modern parent who is wanting to make passive income through real estate. Because what's going to happen is that all these properties that you're buying at the bottom there in company ABC, at some point, they can replace your active income. And for this guy here, Tabo, he already has a business, and maybe already have his business in trust number one. Allow me to confuse you a little bit, and I want to go into level two ownership. And this is my kind of like happier place. And right, technology in my screen here is failing me. But anyways, I'm sure you'll be able to see it. Right, so we're going to have trust number one. And trust number one, you can see that now that it actually owns a company. And that company name is XYZ, right? And in this case, that's the ownership. This is level 2 now. We spoke about level 1. The difference between level 1 and 2 is that the trust number 1 is that it actually has a company. That's my happy place, actually. For me, it's my happy place. Now that we have trust number 1 and XYZ, I'm going to divide my worlds into 2. Trust 1 with XYZ and trust 2 with the ABC. One of them, let's just make it trust number 1. It's going to be the world where I do business 100%, or should I say 50% and above with debt. Okay, so I'm going to engage the banks a lot. I'm going to engage the funders a lot with trust number 1. And that is the reason why I call this level 2, because I am building intentionally. And for some of you who are at the tribe, you already know that we call this phase building. And then we go on to trust number 2. And trust number 2 is what we call the preserve. Because in trust number 2, together in ABC, we are going to call this the preserve. But basically, everything that we are going to be doing in here is cash-based, right? So the differentiator between the two, my friend, Mr. 2 million and men of family of 5, if you had to go through this here, if this was you and this was me, having your 2 million, I would have my 2 million in my XYZ. I'll be buying properties in there, and maybe I would refinance. And when I refinance, I'll take that money, because the money is back again. I'll send it to trust number 1. And when I send it to trust number 1, I'll take it to trust number 2, because that's my preserve structure. When I'm in my preserve structure, basically now maybe I can buy something cash with the same 2 million. But the same 2 million has given me a head start on structure, on trust number 1 in XYZ, because I was able, and I can continuously do that between the 2 trust and the 2 companies. I'm sending money back and forth, right? And basically what I'm doing on one side is to utilize debt, and the other side, I am utilizing cash. Now, why do I want to do this? I have just de-risked my world. I own nothing. As Tabo and Mariki in our family, we own nothing. And basically in trust number 2, this is really where our real lifestyle that is never shaken. It never changes. Interest rates, whether they go down or they don't, there's no risk at all. So Mr. My friend here, Mr. Family Man of 5, if your business is a cash-based business, I would put it in trust 1. So anything that in trust 2, anything that is cash-based, I put it in the trust 2, where cash is. And anything that is debt-related, then I put it in trust number 1. So you might be asking yourself now, TJ, how should I do it for me? I don't know your circumstances, and for that reason, I can't give you a solid answer. You now need to go in and sit down with an attorney, and the attorney can then structure this for you. This is why they call it structuring. Because somewhere along the line here, my dear friends, some of your kids here might be your kids, the man's kids, or some of your kids here might be the wife's kids. Or you might have a blended family where you have his and his kids and our kids. Yeah? That structure is going to be very different from this, right? It will speak very differently. I spoke to someone not so long ago, a young man, and he lost his wife at a early stage. And there was quite a lot of money that was paid out in life policies and so on. And with that, he created a fund. He created a trust for his wife. But over and above that, what he is doing is that he's continuing with life. He started dating someone. Now they're a little bit serious. Fortunately, he didn't have a child from the previous relationship. When his wife passed on, they were still wanting to have a child. And now the legacy of his wife, he's got it in a standalone in its own trust. Now he's got someone else that he's serious with, and they're going to go on with their life. She's pregnant. They're not married yet. They're talking about getting married, and he's going to create something else that's totally different with her together with the kids. So this is how you can segregate things. The day that you die, my friend, all of this will continue seamlessly with no issues. So I hope that I have given you a little bit of help, my friend Tabo. Right? We always call anyone that we are helping here Tabo. His name is not Tabo for real. So with your 2 million cash, there's many things that you can go and do. You can go and buy properties cash. Besides buying cash, you can use a bit of debt. I have given you the framework. You can go and consult with your local attorney on how best to do it. If you don't know anyone who can help you with these things, hit us up in the comment. We always leave you with the comment that says the link tree with TJ, meet the TJ tribe. And with that, we can be able, you follow that link, you put in your details, and within that, your details will come through to us, and then we can go and give you the engagement with the right partners that we've got that understand this kind of stuff. If this is complicated to you, and you're already having a little bit butterflies, jibbly jibbers, I call them jibbly jibbers, and you're like, flip, TJ, I'm nowhere close to this. Don't stress, okay? Don't stress. I remember when we bought our first couple of houses, we didn't have this information. Jenna had a house, I had a house, we bought another house, we bought the farm. So all of these things that we bought, we didn't have this information. When we got to the information, we literally said, let's sell off some stuff. That was call number one, because we're in debt, then bad debt. And then the second thing that we did say is, hey, we like this property. Let's ring fence it. Out of ring fencing it, what are we going to do? If you die, what will happen? We map out the scenarios. If she dies, what will happen? We map out the circumstance. And we said, okay, fine. Maybe we need a life insurance on cover on this one particularly, so that we can be able to buy the property from our names into the trust only when we die. So we put, it's a risk that we identified, something might happen, and we've put in the mitigation. We are happy with the mitigation. So you don't have to change your entire life to move it from where it is today. For as long as you understand the risk, and then thereafter you can be able to mitigate it. But today we were talking literally about Tabo. He says, I hear trust TJ, I hear companies TJ, I hear CCs, and he hears, please don't buy in your name. How should I buy? That was the question that he was asking. So basically he was asking, how can he structure his estate? That's what he was asking, in terms of planning it today for growth, setting it up so that he can earn some income today, and setting it up tomorrow so that he can preserve it. And for those of you who got this, great. If this was complicated, maybe you need a coaching session or one or two. So reach out to us. We'll be able to do that for you. Or maybe you're like, TJ, that's not for me. That's okay too. You are not in that space yet, right? And one of these days you will be able to be in it. So before I go, we always say here, my heart is open. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, go. My heart is open. My mind is open. Help me, TJ, to make some money. And this is the foundation of how you can be able to make some money. And yes, we're talking about help me, TJ, to make some money. Yes, it's me, but we don't have to own everything these days. We can control things and still be able to make money. And the trust is that. Maybe the trust is not for you. So make sure that your will is in order. So do you need a trust do you need a will if you've got a trust? That we'll be answering in the next couple of videos to come. But for now, it's been great hanging out with you. Any other comments, questions in the comments, let me know and we will answer them. If we don't know how to, we will find the right person to answer them. It is I, TJ. We will check you out on the next